Hey everybody, this is the Mad Professor from the Two Cigars and a Blunt podcast, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube Fridays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, followed by the Ashed Out After Show. And on Wednesdays, we have the Better Than Sex Sports podcast, 7 Eastern, 6 Central. Let me ask you a question. Is corruption still corruption if it's out in the open? I ask because the answer is yes. It doesn't matter if it's out in the open under the sun or in a back room somewhere in a dark corner. It's still corruption, and I'm talking about how the elected president did an infomercial for the unelected president's car company last week on the lawn of the White House, or at the front of the White House, where Number 47 asked the public to stop boycotting Elon Musk and buy his vehicles, buy the company's vehicles. And the corruption comes in. I mean, that's pretty corrupt already, but the corruption comes in because within 48 hours after that infomercial was shown, or broadcast rather, Elon Musk made $100 million donation to a MAGA super PAC. $100 million after a commercial, White House authorized commercial was produced. And what's funny about that is they are telling people to buy an electric vehicle. You know, the same electric vehicles that I think I said in a prior video that Number 47 hates. He hates the idea of electric vehicles, but because it's his guy who is losing money because of this, because of the boycotts, now all of a sudden they're all about electric vehicles, even though they're clearly not. He's just doing it for the money, basically. And you know, when it comes to the money, last week during the vote for the continuing resolution to fund the government for the next 6 months, remember that in that bill is an increase in military spending, and expect again in 6 months that is going to increase again for the next spending bill for the year, because there's a lot of talk that our European NATO allies are going to start drawing back and canceling on military purchases from American companies such as McDonnell Douglas, Raytheon, and Lockheed Martin. So, you know, they're going to start, a lot of the European countries are going to either start making their own weapons for war, or they're going to buy them from European Union allies. And that's going to go into the hundreds of billions of dollars lost to these American companies. So what do you think they're going to do to keep their profits going? Well, I mean, it's hypothetical, yes, but, you know, doggone well, they're going to go to Congress and the people who they give money to for these military bills and these war machines that they buy, to authorize more purchases, to authorize maybe even selling to countries that aren't, you know, the greatest of allies to us. Maybe. I mean, I'm not gonna say that's what's gonna happen, but I can imagine this going on, because the one thing these corporations love is money, spending. They love it. They can't get enough of it. It's like a drug to them, because they have to keep up those profit margins. And because the American war machine can only use so much when we're not at war with anybody, technically, because we're not in any announced wars with anyone, you can't really justify spending without some shadiness going on. And that's why I bring up the corruption thing, is because we've yet to truly declare war on anybody, or any one country rather. But, you know, 47 keeps talking about war with Greenland, war to take Greenland, war to take the Panama Canal, war against Canada, even though, you know, there's no reason for any of this other than his own foolishness. And it's all starting with his tariffs. The European unions are placing tariffs on everything coming from America, from alcohol to textiles, what few textiles we produce here, because of Trump's tariffs on the wares from the European Union. And as part of this backlash, I know one country in particular, Portugal, is trying to back out of $190 billion dollar purchase of the F-35 Series 2 Lightning, the stealth fighter. So, like I said, they're trying to get out of that. And Rafale, the French company that produces a Generation 5 fighter, is the company that I've seen that they're starting to look into buying planes from. And a lot of other European Union countries are considering doing the same. And again, these American companies aren't going to put up with losing hundreds of billion-dollar contracts, because it's going to affect their bottom line, which affects their stock price, which affects everything, from CEO bonuses to stock purchases, or rather stock dividends to stockholders. And they're not going to allow that to damage the reputation of these companies. So again, they're going to go to Congress in September, when this continuing resolution expires, to try to put more spending into the spending bill, for an already nearly $1 trillion military spending that the U.S. does, defense spending rather, that the U.S. does. Now, this spending is going to come at the cost of having material and machines just sitting, because recruitment numbers are down. Who'd have thought it? The president that they said will never start a war, talking about war for no reason, and military recruitment numbers are down. So who's going to use this? Who's going to use these machines? I mean, they're getting rid of anyone that's unfortunately not white male rather, in the military. They're trying to get rid of every platform for people of color to get into the military, and part of anti-DEI stupidity. So who's going to fight this war that this man is itching to start, or at least that he's acting like he's itching to start, because he's an abject coward and an abject fool. So he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's too much of a coward. It's part of the reason why he talks a big game but rarely ever backs that game up, especially when it comes to someone with equal power to his own. It's a shame that you could see this coming a mile away, and because of the apathy of the voters, especially the black Democrats, who, like I said in the video yesterday, are just cowards and failures, that people didn't want to even vote for the lesser of the two evils that they saw. They just didn't vote at all. So this is what we get. And I know I'm all over the place on this. I'm sorry. But I mean, I guess that's what happens if I don't write a script anymore, and I need to start getting back into that. But anyway. This is not going to end well for this country. It's really not. And I'm almost being able to be convinced that 47 is doing all of this with the economy purposely, so that he and his cohorts can buy short against the U.S. economy tanking, and then make a lot of money when the economy picks back up again. And I hate that. Again, that's that open corruption. It's just like, I'm not going to run, and I'm not in for retribution. But did you know that the FBI is now looking into charging the Habitat for Humanity with treason? I think it is. Is it treason? Yeah, criminalizing the Habitat for Humanity for receiving funds from the EPA. So, he cares about people, The and you don't hear anything about that. Criminalizing money for building houses because it came from the EPA. But they're the party of caring. The only question has always been, who do they care for? Because it's not their own voters. If it was their own voters, they wouldn't be trying to cut off the postal service. Again, postal service has come under fire, and Doge, because Biden didn't have the guts to get rid of Louis DeJoy, they're trying to cut 10,000 jobs. And a lot of that'll be in rural communities, the ones that are underserved anyway by infrastructure, and definitely take more money from the federal government than urban areas. So, that those are red voters. Well, but, that's just something else to talk about.